In this video, we're going to get into the details of how to set up a color palette. So this color palette, I have the primary and I have the surface colors that you can change here. So let me demonstrate, first of all, the default before I modify anything. Let me turn this off. So if I go over and I switch to light, I'm having it print out the light surface colors. If I go back to dark, now I want you to notice that the light surface has different values than the dark surface. This is the default. So if we look here and we look for the 500, that's the one that's going to be used out of these. So that's 64748B. That's this one here. So slate is the light color. So the dark is 71717A. That is zinc. So by default, PrimeNG's theme is based with light surface using slate and dark surface using zinc. Now what I did, when I change it here, it's going to change both light and dark to the same thing. So let me demonstrate that. So let's go to an extreme here. Let's go to the beach one. This is the one that I added in. Now here's the dark theme. Let's go to light theme, and you'll see that I'm setting both of them to the same. Now I tried to set them individually and I had some problems. The important thing is there are some bugs. So when I first wrote this code, I was able to log some of this information, but PrimeNG made a change, and they have to make money, so this is a good thing. So to get the theme now, you used to be able to go in here. They've changed this. So if I want to say my theme, I can go in here and I can choose, but I can only choose these three. Another one that they had here was material, but they don't have that anymore. So I can create, let's go aura and say create. It says name is required. So I have to give a name, my theme, and I go ahead and I create this. Now one thing that they have done, they've changed, is you can no longer download without having a license. And the license is $250, about $250 for an individual. And I don't have a license for it, and I'm not about to pay you that right now because I'm retired and I don't have any income other than my retirement. This is what's required now, and it's understandable. They have to make money. It's a good product and they deserve to have some income from that. So let's go back and look at what we can do without purchasing theme license, because you still can modify the theme manually, but it's not as easy as using their tool. So if we go in here and we saw that I can change the theme, let's go up and look at so here's the theme color. Watch these colors change here when I select it. Now I'm going to change the primary theme. I'm going to go with green, and then I'm going to go with fuchsia color or something like that. It's a bright pink, and then here's a red, just so that you can see it changes. Here's brown. Brown is a color that I added, so I was able to add that. Let's get into how this was done. Let's describe how the color palette was generated. So this component here, this is in the Roadblock folder. Under there I created color palette. Color palette then is called from here. So if we go in here, here's color palette. Now just so you're aware, this class is not used anywhere. I put it there because maybe I would use it. There's several reasons for putting that there. Either styling later on, or just to find this. I can use that, or I can use an ID to find it. Go back to the color palette now. And in the color palette, how do I hide and I show it? Let me show you. So what I do is I go in and I have a toggle color picker, and this is looking for PRB color palette panel. This is a query selector, and it gets that. If it gets it, it will toggle this. In other words, it will add this or remove this. Let's go over to the web and see that occur. In the web here, you can see here's the PRB show. If I click this, that goes away. If I click it again, it comes back. So if I go here and I manually, let's say I just manually remove this. you can see that causes it to go away. So by clicking this, it adds and removes that. It toggles it. Let's go back into the editor. This is getting that PRB color palette panel and then toggling this show panel. The show panel is right here. So by default, it's display none. In other words, it's hidden. What I'm doing is I'm showing it. I'm displaying it as a block component. Now I set up all my positioning and everything here. Even though it's not displayed, it's there in the DOM, but it's hidden until I call this. Once I add this, it's there. Now notice that there's an ampersand in front of this. That is because this and this have to be in the same class line. Let me show you. So over here, you'll notice they have to be in the same. So here's the PRB color palette panel and then PRB show. There's a space between it, but that ampersand says that this and this have to be in there. Let's go back and look at the code again. So this ampersand, it's not really and, but what it's doing is it's concatenating this with this. So basically picture this. I'm going to copy this just for demonstration. And that is the CSS that you would normally write, but since this is SAS, we're doing some control by using SAS commands. And in this case here, we're appending. So the ampersand here, the single ampersand, means that you take this and replace this ampersand with this value when the CSS is built out. Now let's get into how the colors are set and how that is done. It's pretty simple. So each of the icons, the little buttons on the screen here, these little buttons that you see here, these buttons are defined by this. And it's a regular button, it's not a PrimeNG button. And then I'm calling this set primary color for the primary colors. Now you notice I have this in a color palette grouping, and this is the primary color. Everything in this grouping is for primary color. If we get down into the surface colors, now we check to see if it's surface color. Let's take a look at this method here. Let's go in here. And so this method is setting that. Now if you'll notice, it's using the DT, the $DT function here. This is part of PrimeNG, and I'm getting the value and I'm checking to see if that's what it is. If it is, it's true here. So it says is primary color. Let's go back to the code there. So if it is primary color, then you will set this. Now I did a lot of extra work here. So if you'll notice, here's the palette fuchsia, palette pink. So there's a lot of extra work, and this could be cleaned up and automated. I was just trying to get this up and working so that it's functional, but this is not maintainable. So notice that they all have palette item. So even down here in the surface, palette item, but then this is the color of that button. So here's the color for the color palette, and here's still using color palette, but this is a slate. Now this one, additionally, okay, what this is doing here, it's putting a highlight around using the palette selected. In other words, let's go back over to the web. If you'll notice, when I click on this, it's showing the palette that was selected. If I make it brown, it'll be brown there. If I make it pink, it'll be pink. If I make it green, it'll turn green. Okay, so whatever the primary color is, that is the border. And here you can see, it's kind of hard to see probably because this is kind of small on the screen. See if I can increase that just so you can see a little bit better. So if I select it, so whatever color is selected, that is what gets changed. So you can see that changing there. So let's set this back. In the code, you can see all of these being set, and here's set the surface color. This is set the primary color and set the surface color. Let's look at the primary color. Okay, this one is a function, and it's taking the value, the variable color, and it's assigning it here. And this is updating the primary palette. This is a function that is part of PrimeNG. You see the import up here? And so I'm just passing that in. There's no output. There's no return value. Let's go back and look at the surface color. Surface color is the same thing. Now notice that I'm setting both light and dark themes here. I tried to do it based on the instructions and it wouldn't quite do it, and I'm not going to worry about it. So think about it. If you have a user that is going to be working in either dark theme or light theme and they choose a surface color, they're going to be choosing it in that particular theme, whether it's dark or it's light, and you're going to stay with that. So this is not harmful, but this is how you change that. Let's take a look at the theme, and we'll see that in the color, I think I talked about this in my last video, but I'm going to review it here. For normal colors, I just use the palette generator straight out, but then when I get to surface colors, which begins with slate, I'm going to add this. I add that in there for every one of them, for all of the surface colors. So this is how I do that. So when I'm generating the surface color, is surface color. This is a flag I've got in there. I just add this and then put that in there. What I'm doing, and now this is for the screen. Let me show you. This is for the screen here. If you go down here, let's close these things just so that you can see this. See how this goes from 0, and this starts from 50 to 950. It goes to 950. So these are surface colors, these grays, shades of gray, and that is what's going to be coming up in here. So that's how I did that. So I hope this has helped. If you have any questions, please leave a question in the comments and I will try to get back to you as soon as I can. I hope this video has helped you. Please like and subscribe, and we will continue to make more videos. Thank you.